Hey, Adventurous Carrie here. We're getting ready to go on a 7-week road trip around the country. And so I've been here tonight working in the van, getting it ready, getting it packed up, moving out some things. So I thought I'd give you a quick little tour of what we're going to be doing. Now, normally in the garage area, which I'll show you, we usually bring a huge cooler. It's an Igloo cooler, very similar to the Yeti, not as expensive, but it keeps ice and things frozen for 7 to 8 days. It's absolutely wonderful. But when our last part of the trip, we're going to be going to Michigan. And this past summer, we moved my mom from a large house on 2.5 acres into a 1-bedroom apartment. And there was quite a few things that we didn't really sell, or I didn't want to sell because I didn't want to just give it away. And so we have about 8 boxes at my mom's neighbor's house that we need to bring back with us. So we need to make sure that when we're on our way back that we have room to bring all that items. Plus, there's a couple of statues that my brother built, made a lion, and it's pretty big. And I have some other big items that we're going to be bringing back. So the first 6 weeks, we don't really need room for all that, but the last part of when we come back from Michigan to North Carolina, we're going to need room in the van to house all that. So we're really trying to pack light. I'm trying to pack all my clothes in some compression sacks and put it in the cabinet over our bed. But I also know that we're going to be in Florida, Texas, California, Utah, Colorado, Kentucky, Michigan. Those are all our stopping places. And so I think when we get into Colorado and Michigan, it's going to be colder. So we got to make sure that we have cold weather attire for that, as well as boots and so forth. So I got to make sure we have room. Anyway, I want to give you a tour and let you see what we're going to be traveling in for the next 8 weeks. Before I show you the van, I wanted to just show you the Igloo cooler that we usually travel with, that I mentioned that we're not going to be traveling with. This thing is huge. We have stickers all over it from all our travels. The inside, I love this little tray to keep things separated. Another thing that we normally do when we have this big cooler with us is we bring a dry bag and we put all our meats and everything in it, so when the ice melts, it doesn't get the meat all soggy. We are going to take this little Igloo cooler. It also does a good job of keeping items cold for about maybe four days, maybe 5 at the tops. It's not like this cooler. We've had stuff in this cooler that we had frozen water bottles that we had in there, and 10 days later it was still frozen. It's really a nice cooler. This is our 2020 Dodge Ram ProMaster 2500. It's not the longest one and it's not the shortest one. It's kind of the medium length van, conversion van. We did not do the full conversion. We bought it in August of 2022, so we've had it a little over a year. We went down to Florida and picked it up, and the previous owner had it converted, but we did a lot of modifications, which I'm going to be showing you here in a few minutes. One thing that we do want to add is a hitch in the front so that we can carry our bikes. If we put the hitch in the back, that makes it harder to open the back door. We do have an awning. I kind of messed it up the first time we used it, so now we have to kind of jerry-rig it to keep it from rolling out when we're driving. This is the back of the van. The doors do open all the way up, and this is the garage area that I was mentioning earlier that we have to keep fairly open for when we come back. We're still organizing things, so it's kind of a little bit of a shamble right now. We did take our big camp box and we narrowed it down to this little box. This is our power box that we put the cords to plug into shore power if need be. There's our toaster oven that we're bringing along, and our 1,000-watt Jackery, which is a power unit. Absolutely love this thing. We've had it for 3 years, and we can take it out, put it on a picnic table, and make our coffee in the morning. That's our beach bag, which first 2 weeks are going to be in Florida, so we're going to be going to the beach. The bullhorn is probably coming out. That was a item I took when I went on a girls' camping trip out to the Outer Banks. Since we are going to be going to Colorado and through the Rocky Mountains, we have our chains, which we bought the last time we did the trip a year ago, and we never had to use them. These are 2 small portable chairs, and if we use the shower, that's what that board right there is for. You can stand on it. I'm a big rock collector, so I always have 2 galvanized buckets with us wherever we go, and that's our just-in-case bag if we have a flat tire or our battery dies or whatever. But there is actually a lot of space under here. There's 2 100-watt solar panels for the Jackery. And one of the other modifications that we're going to do is back behind this area here is where all the switches and the batteries and everything are. But in order to get to it currently, we have to take this bed out, which can come out, but that's kind of a pain. So we're gonna put a door that we can access the batteries if we need to. But yeah, if you need more space, that bed does come out. It's there semi-permanently, but a couple little screws and you can take it out. Anyway, I'll just show you that these doors do open up all the way, which is kind of nice. So when we put the laundry cord up, we're going to put it up here and then have it attached there, and then that way we can put a shower curtain and then use our portable shower when we're on the road. Another feature that we have on the van is we do have a mosquito netting that can roll down and it zips, and then it has magnetic where it can come together. I don't really want to pull it down right now, but maybe when we're out on the road, we'll show you that. The red buckets are probably going to go back in the garage area. Those probably are not going to be right there, especially because we're going to be putting our dog right in that spot. We'll put his bed. It's in the dryer right now getting cleaned, so he will have a nice bed while we're traveling, and if we go to someone's house, it's not going to smell like dog, at least not initially. So, fun times right before we're getting ready to get going. North Carolina in the east here, we're under a tropical storm warning until 7 p.m. tonight. So, we're just hoping that this big tree that's in our neighbor's yard doesn't drop any branches or the tree falls. That's our biggest fear. Usually when there's a big windstorm coming, George moves the van, but we're going to kind of need the van to finish packing. So it's almost nighttime, and we will hopefully not have anything from the tropical storm. And we'll be putting our last minute stuff in food-wise in the morning, and then we're heading out. Starting in the van is all the tchotchkes that we have hanging from our rear view mirror that we've collected along our travels. Some people have given us stuff and they wanted to add to it. Some of these items were actually items that we hung when we had our 1982 Volkswagen Westfalia. Actually, we still have it, but we traveled in that for 2.5 years before we got our 2020 Dodge Ram ProMaster. And so I have a lot of items, including a pudding stone from Michigan and just some really cool stuff. And somebody gave me a crystal. She just randomly came up to us, I think when we were traveling in Florida, and she said, "Oh my God, I just love your van and you guys are so cool, and hang on a second." And so she ran and she came back and she gave us this crystal. And so we hung it in our rear view mirror. Other additions to our van include the sun and the moon mirrors that I had with me when I was in California. I had those hanging in my dining room. I just absolutely love them. And I did a lot of traveling statewide when I was in California, and I just knew that I wanted to include these in our van. Something else that we added was this magnetic strip, and oh my God, this has been a lifesaver, especially the scissors and some of the knives when we need to do something. It's right there, ready and available. And I actually just used it recently on a girls' camping trip. I belong to Sisters on a Fly, which is a national group of women that do a lot of camping, kayaking, hiking, basically women that like to have fun. And then when I mentioned up here, I actually had this was something that we were going to put in the bathroom, and it's a thing that can hold your toothbrush and toothpaste and miscellaneous things. And I thought, you know what, that's the perfect size for the van. So I went and ordered 2 more. So this is George's. He doesn't have all his stuff in here yet, but this one over here, which is right on top of our refrigerator, and we did bolt it in. You can see right here that we bolted it in so it doesn't go flying. But this is perfect for things that we need. My hairbrush, toothpaste as we mentioned, hand soap, a Sharpie. Who doesn't need a Sharpie? And then, oh my God, I love this stuff. We get this stuff at our local farmers market. It's called Bugs Away. And so if you're anywhere where there's those little gnats or mosquitoes or just any biting insects, you put that around your ankles and on your near your elbow and near your tempo, and you know what? The bugs stay away. So it's really good. Also, we have this oscillating fan, which has been really good for in the van. We try not to use our air conditioning unit that much. We do when we absolutely have to. If we're able to be plugged into shore power, it helps work. But we do have a fantastic fan right up there, and we usually keep that going. So this is the back of the van. This is our where we sleep. And those 2 cabinets there, the one on the left is mine and the one on the right is George. And I usually keep pretty much all my clothes in there, except for the clothes that are really heavy, like jackets and so forth. So a couple of things that we're hoping to put together tomorrow is this is a, what do you call it, laundry line that we're going to put from side to side in the back of the van. So when we open it up, we can put a shower curtain and use that for our, down here, we have a, well, it's kind of on the side. It's a portable shower, and that's really good. Another thing we put in the van was this 3-drawer, is plastic, rubber, whatever you want to call it, a little storage unit. The top drawer, we have towels and washcloths and other extra, what do you call, pillowcases. In the middle drawer is kind of my drawer for just incidentals that I need. And the very bottom drawer is where we keep all our first aid. And that right there in the garage area is our camp stove. We do not cook inside the van. We just don't want all that smell, so we usually cook outside. We also have a convection stove top, and we also have a toaster oven that we can cook with. Another favorite item that we have in the van is this pantry. I love it. We're still kind of filling it up tonight for our big trip that's going to be taking place tomorrow. So some of this items is probably going to be changed out, but it's, you know, and I do like Spam. So even in a non-emergency, I love Spam and eggs, so I always carry that with me. The drawer below the refrigerator is where we keep all our spices. We have a little bit of coconut oil, and we have potato flakes. I do have some emergency bars if there ever is an emergency. But I do like to cook and spice up things. One of my favorite things to cook with is this Trader Joe's African smoke. And of course I put lemon pepper on everything. We have salt and pepper and other various things. We do have a little bit of ghee. So ghee is really good to travel with right here. It's like butter, but you don't need to refrigerate it, so that. And then of course we have honey, and that's good for all kinds of things. I try to stay away from real sugar, so honey comes in handy when you need to sweeten the pot a little bit. This van does have a 3,000 watt inverter. I currently have it plugged in to shore power at the house to keep everything charged and the refrigerator going. When we are somewhere where we don't have shore power, the inverter can help us have electricity for about 4 to 5 days. Usually our refrigerator can last about 5 days before we need to recharge it. So when we're not in shore power, we turn it off, and then we put the inverter on only if we need to use the 110 outlets. Other than that, our lights and our refrigerator will continue to work until everything needs to be charged. But of course, when we're driving, it also charges all the batteries as well. We do have a sink in the van. We don't really use it to do dishes. We have a collapsible sink that we take outside to do all our dishwashing, but it's a good little space to hold stuff that we don't want to fall. Our little wine glasses from the Rocky Mountains, or actually these are from the Smoky Mountains. And what I also like is that this thing comes out. And so if we take down we have a window right here, we could open it up and then use that to kind of rinse off if we need to. We do, under the sink, have a 6-gallon tank. We've got a lot of stuff under here. I have a couple other 1-gallon tanks. And we do have a gray water tank, but because we never really use the sink, it's kind of a mess. Wow. Because we don't really use the sink and have stuff go down, we hardly ever have anything in our gray water tank. But we do have 6 gallons of fresh water, and we have I don't know if you can see back there, we do have a filter. And we also have a hose that we can hook up, but that has a filter on it as well. So we like to drink good water. When we traveled for 2.5 years in our 82 Volkswagen Westfalia named Fritz, we had a refrigerator in there, but it was so tiny that I basically used it as my spice rack. And this is an isotherm refrigerator, and we don't really have it stocked up yet. We usually do that the morning of when we leave. The last time we took this van out, we went to the Outer Banks on the coast, so it has water and adult beverages in there. But we are going to change this out. But this thing really can hold a lot. And we also have a big Igloo cooler, but we're not taking it on this trip, as I mentioned earlier. This bottom drawer I just recently cleaned out. It was jam-packed with a bunch of pots and pans, and I tried to make room for miscellaneous food items, crackers and such. So we're going to be on the road for about 7-8 weeks, and I'm really trying to make it so it's easy to put things away so that we don't have a lot of clutter in the van, because that drives both George and me nuts when we have stuff all over the floor. So in the floor area, we don't really have a lot of room, but this area right here is where our dog, Sir Henry, is going to have his bed, and then he takes up that spot right there. So that really doesn't give us a lot of room to move around. The other thing we're going to put up tomorrow is we're going to put some kind of, this thing is the coolest thing. I used this on a girls' camping trip, and it worked great. So I'm going to have George put a hook right up here. And that way, if we have towels or anything that needs to be dried, we have this little rack here. And when we're not using it, we can bring it down. And all we do is fold it up And there you go. That is a must for anybody. My friend Paul and Maureen Shaheen, we met them in Virginia back in April, and they had something similar to this, and I said, that thing is so cool. We need to have one. So I went on Amazon and ordered it. This is the thing that we're going to put in the back of the van. It's going to be a laundry thing. It pulls out, and then we'll hook it so then it can go to the other door in the back of the van. Another thing that we noticed, and we actually traveled in this van for about a year before we noticed this space back here, and we found that this is a really good space to put some extra water bottles and our cleaning thing, and then we have some paper bags, paper sacks, depending on where you're from. They say paper sacks in Michigan. And this is my travel picnic bag, and it has everything you could possibly need in it. But if we need it, we do have a drawer here. And it's got all our utensils. It's a really deep drawer. The only problem with this is I think if we could rebuild this and make 2 drawers out of it, because if you can see, it's pretty deep. The only way we can get to the items in the bottom is if we take that tray out. And then down in this drawer is where we keep this is our coffee maker in here. I have a little kettle. I have the other kettle that can heat up. We do have a toaster oven, so this is a little stone that you can use in there. We have a little blender in the back, and we also have 2 cast iron pots. And believe it or not, if I could come back down here, not that we ever use it, but if there's an emergency, we do have a porta potty under here. If you notice that Prego bottle, and then there's a female pee funnel. That's pretty much what we use when we're on the road. If we have to do something other than pee, we usually try and find a rest stop, a truck stop, fast food. And so the other thing that I really like in here is these lights. Let me see if I can turn one on. These are really good, and you can position them however you want. There's one on this side and one on the other side. And yeah, this is where we sleep. It's very comfy. It's a very thick mattress, and it does have holes in there so that there's airflow so we don't get mold and so forth in there. And then this is our lounge, Chase Lounge. And we found one of these cushions that has the little sides to it, and it makes it really comfortable to just sit there and drink your coffee. And George just ordered, but it's not going to be here in time for our trip. But we are going to get a swivel seat for this one here, and that will be able to turn around. We do have, over here we store 3 tables that can fold, that we can either use inside or outside. But anyway, that's our van in the inside. And we have these blackout curtains that we use when we're actually sleeping in here. And it's so much fun. One thing left on our list of things to do before we leave on our 7-week odyssey around the United States is our garden here has got a lot of veggies and tomatoes and lots of peppers. So I am going to right now try and pick as many of these as possible. And there is our bounty for today. We have a lot of cherry tomatoes that we're probably going to take with us on the trip and give them to some of our friends that we're going to see. In here we got banana peppers, red peppers, green peppers, jalapenos, and cayenne peppers. And the little orange peppers, I forgot what those are called. It's Saturday morning, the day we're supposed to leave, and we're still under a tropical storm warning. It's pretty windy out there. I don't know if you can see, can't really tell. But anyway, we moved the van away from that big tree, and we're gonna move it here shortly to pack our stuff. Yeah, it's a really crappy day today. Be glad to get out of this weather. It's supposed to be sunny and bright in Florida when we get there later tonight. Planning on watching football. We're going to Palm Coast to see our friends Karen and Lenny. And so tomorrow's going to be a football day, and we're probably going to watch football at the beach. So George is turning the van around, and he's going to bring it right up by the door so that we can load up and I'll only get minimally wet. And the final packing is going to be beginning. George is going to back it up so the door is facing our front door. It'll make it easier to pack. Really wicked weather out there. The wind has been really gusty, and then it drops, and then it gets really windy. It's going back and forth, kind of a schizophrenic weather. We are in a tropical storm warning as we're trying to pack and get out of here. George did back up the van to the front door, and I've literally been darting back and forth trying to bring stuff in here. Fortunately, we're on a slant, so as soon as I open the door and I walk in, the door slams shut, which is helpful to keep things from getting too wet inside the van. We did put Sir Henry's bed down. I covered it with a towel because I'm sure that he's going to be wet when he gets in the van. And then I also laid another towel between the seats because he likes to sit between us. And until we get out of North Carolina area, it's going to be really wet out there. We've decided we're just starting to stack stuff up on the bed. This is not normally how we do it, but if we open the back door for an extended period of time during these heavy rains, my side of the bed is going to get drenched, and I'm really trying to avoid that. Remember when I said that we don't really use our sink? This is what we're going to use as we're leaving. Those are the cherry tomatoes that I picked yesterday. I'm going to bring those to a few friends in Florida, and we have the coffee and baby wipes to clean up, and that will just keep it from falling all over the floor. The refrigerator is all packed. We still have a few adult beverages, but we've got some really good food in here to eat on the way. George smoked some steak last night, and it is amazing. He did it on our Traeger. I also cut up some cucumbers that we harvested from our garden. That was part of our harvesting that I did yesterday when I did the tomatoes and the peppers. We've got some dip and just snack food. We're actually going to fill this up more with, full meals when we leave Florida. From there, we're going to be heading to camp at San Padre Island. So we're really looking forward to that. Well, we're finally on the road for our 7-week road trip around the country. We're leaving about 2 hours later than we originally expected, but all the rain and everything kind of delayed us. But please join us on our trip. I'll try and do videos about every 2-3 days. I can't guarantee that I'll do one every day, but we're really looking forward to this. And George is all wet. He's like not really wanting to be on video because it's wet out. For daily updates, follow us at Adventurous Carrie on Facebook, or you can follow me here on YouTube with periodic videos of our trip. And remember, Ayapota, it's all part of the adventure.